Auzubillahiminash-shaytanir-rajim. Bismillahir-rahmanir-rahim. Well, Assalamu alaikum. This is the second part of the lesson that we left undone in the previous lecture. Well, today we'll read out the rest of the text so that we'll be able to understand the crux of the story. What actually this man by the name of Norman Godspear is actually trying to say. Well, this is actually, I remember a line from Coleridge. He says, uh, willing suspension of disbelief. It means sometimes we unbelievably believe in something, but sometimes we don't believe in the facts. This is, he says, sometimes people try to become very clever. They try to pose their cleverity or their wisdom, but when they are not actually without experiences, without facts, uh, or all that. So we'll just begin it from here so that we'll be able to complete half of the story. He threw a good deal of warmth into the last remark, as though perhaps to indicate his hope that Gospel did not fail far short of the requisite decency. Of course, said Gospel slowly, the weak point of your story is that you can not produce the soap. The young man sat forward, hurriedly, felt rapidly in the pockets of his overcoat, and then jumped to his feet. I must have lost, he muttered angrily. To lose an hotel and a cake of soap on one afternoon suggests wilful carelessness, said Godspear. But the young man scarcely waited to hear the end of the remark. He flitted away down the path, his head held high with an air of somewhat jaded jauntiness. It was a pity, mused Godspear. The going out to get one's soap was the one convincing touch in the whole story, and yet it was just the little detail that brought him to grief. If he had the brilliant forethought to provide himself with a cake of soap, wrapped and sealed with all the solitude of the chemist's counter, he would have been a genius in his particular line. In his particular line, genius certainly consists of an infinite capacity for taking precautions. With that reflection, Godspear rose to go. As he did so, an exclamation of concern escaped him. Lying on the ground by the side of the bench was a small oval pocket, wrapped and sealed with solitude of chemist's counter. It could be nothing else but a cake of soap, and it had evidently fallen out of Youth's overcoat pocket when he flung himself down on the seat. In another moment, Godspear was scudding along the dusk, shrouded with an anxious quest for a youth figure in a light overcoat. He had nearly given up the search when he caught sight of the object of his pursuit standing irresolutely on the border of the merry carriage driven, evidently uncertain where to strike across the park or make for the bustling pavements of Knightsbridge. He turned round sharply with an air of defensive hostility when he found Godspear hailing him. The important witness to his genius of your story has turned up, said Godspear, holding out the cake of soap. It must have slid out of your overcoat pocket when you sat down on the seat. I set it on the ground after you left. You must excuse my disbelief, but appearances were really rather you. And now, as I appeal to the testimony of the soap, I think I ought to abide by its verdict. If the loan of a sovereign is anyway good. The young man hastily removed all doubts on the subject by pocketing the coin. It's my card with address, continued Godspear. Any day this week will do for returning the money, and is the soap. Don't lose it again. It's been good fun to you. Lucky thing you're finding, said the youth. Then, with a catch in his voice, He blurted out word or two thanks and fled headlong in the direction of Knightsbridge. Poor boy, as he nearly as possible broke down, said Gosby to himself. I don't wonder either. The relief from this quandary must have been acute. It's a lesson to me not to be too clever in judging by circumstances. As Gosby retraced his steps past the seat where the little drama had been taking place, he saw an elderly gentleman poking and peering beneath it and on all sides of it, and recognized his earlier fellow occupant. Have you lost anything, sir? He asked. Yes, yes, a cake of soap. Oh, very interesting. Very interesting. Well, without going into detail, I'll put into, certain lines so that time is saved. Then we'll move to the words that are important to know about. Well, this story actually it says some people are too clever that they befool anyone, what whosoever come their way. They are so clever that they have an infinite, you know, vast realm of thinking level. They think beyond the expectations. And then, as this young man who sits by the side of Norman Gorspe poses a drama. The drama is that I have lost the hotel way, I have lost the connections, and I don't have any information where from to go to my hotel because I have forgotten all these things. I have had just 1 shilling in my pocket and I just spent there somewhere on a chemistry shop where I purchased a soap. But while purchasing the soap, it's because I don't use the hotel soaps. They turn allergic to me. So therefore, he is just trying to pose this Norman Gorsby is sitting on a bench in a park, and where he's actually analyzing, classing people into two groups. One group he says are the people who are defeated, and the second group he calls them they are victorious because they don't appear this time. This is the time of evening, and evening is connected, or it's a symbolic to gloom and disparity. So people who are defeated, despair, disappointed, they come out in the evening light. In the evening time, they gather somewhere in an isolation and just they brood over upon their defeat. Okay, then he shifts us towards some people where from a man comes, elderly man first sits by the side of Norman Gospe and stands up and leaves the place, the bench. And meanwhile, few minutes after, a young man comes and takes his place, sits on the same bench. He is actually perhaps we cannot we can just we can just think upon it. We can just have an analysis on this, that the soap that was lying downside the bench may have fallen from the elderly man's pocket, but this young lad who has come by the side of this person, जिसको हम नॉर्मन गॉस्पे कहते हैं, उसके सामने से बैठा हुआ और ये स्टोरी पोज करता है कि मेरा कनेक्शन लूज़ हो गया, मैंने होटल का रास्ता भूल दिया है, मैं केमिस्ट्री के शॉप पे गया था, वहाँ से साबुन लाई क्योंकि मुझे होटल की साबुन से एलर्जी होती है, आई डोंट यूज़ दिस सोप्स। और उसके बाद बैठ जाता है तो नॉर्मन भी अपनी तरफ से बहुत हुशारी दिखाता है कि देयर इज़ नो प्रूफ, तुमने साबुन तुम्हारे पास है नहीं, अगर है तो प्रोड्यूस कीजिए। लेकिन ये बड़ा इतना शातिर होता है कि साबुन उसने देखी होती है, छोड़ी होती है बाय द साइड ऑफ द बेंच, उसके बाद उठ के चला जाता है। उसका जेडेड जॉन्टीनेस मैं आपको बताऊं क्या होता है, जेडेड जॉन्टीनेस। ओके, Okay. It's this actually phrase that has been, uh, you know, used in this context when a person is very much tired, is very much, lost to the interest of life, very much worn out, थका हुआ आदमी, तो ये कहता है कि बैठ के जला दिस दैट माय डे हैज बीन वन, मेरा दिन तो निकल गया, उठ के चला जाता है ये यंग मैन, उठ के चला जाता है। और जब ये चला जाता है तो नॉर्मन गॉस्बेक की नज़र पड़ती है उस साबुन पे। ये उठाता है और ये सोचता है कि मैं कुछ ज़्यादा ही ओवर क्लेवर हूँ मैं, क्योंकि मैंने इस बेचारे की बातों पे ये भरोसा नहीं किया। आई शुड नॉट हैव जज्ड हिम नॉट हैविंग प्रोड्यूस्ड हिज सोप, चूँकि इसके जेब से कहीं किसी एंगल से गिरी होगी तो नीचे पड़ी हुई है। और उसके बाद उठाता और चला जाता है उसके पीछे और उसको दे देता है, भाई आपकी साबुन की वजह से मुझे आपकी स्टोरी पे भरोसा हो गया। और उसका पहले ही उसने ये समझा था कि दिस पर्सन विल जस्ट स्वेलो माई स्टोरी, ये पर्सन मेरी स्टोरी पे भरोसा करेगा। व्हेन दिस हैज बीन प्रोड्यूस्ड to him, he thought that this person has come in the spells of my story. So जब ये वापस आ जाता है अपने बेंच पे बैठने के लिए तो पर्सन, एल्डरली पर्सन हु हैज़ लेफ्ट बिफोर दिस यंग मैन, वो जो फार्मर होता है वो आज फार्मर पर्सन who had taken his whose place had been taken by this young man, ये आ जाता है। ये कहते भाई आपने साबुन तो नहीं देखी मेरी? तो कौन सी साबुन? भाई मैंने साबुन, यहाँ पे मेरे पास साबुन थी, वो यहाँ पे गिरी। तो दिस शुक्स हिज माइंड ऑल ऑफ अ सडन। नॉर्मन गॉस्बे सेज कि बेवकूफ़ी भी की कोई हद होती है। मैं अपने आप को और क्लेवर समझता था, लेकिन उससे भी मैं बेवकूफ़ हूँ, मैं उस लेवल से भी बेवकूफ़ हूँ। आई कैन नॉट जज पीपल, पीपल हैव they cannot be judged because by their words, by their appearances. Sometimes you come under their spell, but it's not always true. People who are so soft and so attractive sometimes may turn very deceptive, and sometimes who don't care about rest of the things may be very honest, maybe very maybe very much strongly character people. So this is the story that we did today, inshallah. We'll be talking about the glossary and the words, and then we'll be talking about the textual questions and the issues and the characterization all together in the next video. Till then, thank you very much.